At the restaurant, the waiter wrote on my receipt, "Don't go home tonight, trust me." I looked up immediately, scanning the dining room for our waiter, but he'd vanished into the kitchen's swinging doors. My husband Garrett was checking his phone across the table, his face lit by the blue screen, completely oblivious to the message I was holding. We'd been married for 3 years, together for 5, and tonight's dinner at Meridian was supposed to be a celebration of his promotion to senior partner at the law firm. Everything had seemed normal until 60 seconds ago when I'd opened this folder and found a stranger's warning written in desperate pen strokes. I stood up abruptly, my chair scraping against the hardwood floor loud enough that the couple at the next table glanced over. Garrett looked up from his phone, his expression shifting from distraction to mild annoyance. "Where are you going? We haven't paid yet." I held up the receipt folder without showing him what was inside. "Bathroom. I'll be right back." I moved toward the restrooms before he could respond, my heart hammering against my ribs. The hallway leading to the restrooms was narrow and dimly lit, decorated with black and white photographs of the city. I pushed through the women's room door and locked myself in a stall, pulling out my phone with trembling fingers. I read the message again, the words unchanged, still urgent, still terrifying. Why would our waiter warn me not to go home? How would he know anything about my life outside this restaurant? I tried to remember details about him, but he'd been professionally invisible the way good waiters are, appearing to take orders and deliver food, disappearing when not needed. I heard the bathroom door open and froze, holding my breath. Footsteps crossed the tile, heels clicking, then a stall door closed. Just another patron. I forced myself to breathe and think rationally. This could be a mistake. The message meant for someone else, or a prank, some server's twisted joke, but the handwriting had looked so urgent, the message so specific. Don't go home tonight, not don't go home late or don't drive home drunk. Tonight, as if tonight specifically was dangerous. I pulled up my home security app, the one Garrett had insisted we install 6 months ago after a break-in 2 blocks over. The cameras showed our living room empty, our bedroom undisturbed, the kitchen dark. Everything looked normal. I switched to the front door camera and saw our porch exactly as we'd left it 3 hours ago. The welcome mat centered, the potted plants healthy, no signs of disturbance. Nothing was wrong. But the message sat heavy in my pocket like a stone. When I returned to the table, Garrett had already signed the receipt. He stood and held out my coat with the solicitous gesture he always made in public. "Ready? I have that brief to review before Monday." His hand touched the small of my back as we walked toward the exit, and I fought the urge to pull away. We passed through the dining room, and I searched desperately for our waiter, needing to see his face to ask what he meant. But the staff I saw were all strangers, and the kitchen doors remained closed. Our car was parked 2 blocks away in the garage, and Garrett walked with his usual confident stride, while I tried to formulate words that would convince him we should go anywhere except home. "What if we got a hotel tonight?" I heard myself say. My voice sounded strange, too high. "Something nice downtown. Make a weekend of celebrating your promotion." Garrett stopped walking and turned to look at me with an expression I couldn't quite read. "Why would we do that when we have a perfectly good house?" I scrambled for plausible reasons. "I just thought it might be romantic. We haven't done anything spontaneous in a while." Garrett's expression shifted into something that resembled patience, but felt more like condescension. "Leah, we just spent $300 on dinner. Adding a hotel room is excessive, don't you think? Besides, I need my laptop and my files are at home." He resumed walking toward the garage, and I followed because I didn't know what else to do. The message burned in my pocket, but I couldn't show it to him without sounding paranoid. We drove home in silence, broken only by sports radio, Garrett listening to game analysis while I stared out the window watching familiar streets pass. Our neighborhood appeared exactly as it always did on Friday nights, houses lit from within, a few teenagers clustered on a corner laughing, normal life happening while I carried a warning I didn't understand from someone I couldn't identify. When Garrett pulled into our driveway and killed the engine, I sat frozen in my seat, unable to make myself open the car door. "Are you coming, or are you going to sleep in the car?" Garrett's tone was joking but impatient, his keys already in hand. I forced myself to move, to open the door, to walk up the front steps while every instinct screamed to run. Garrett unlocked the door and pushed it open, reaching inside to flip the light switch. Warm light flooded our entryway, illuminating the same furniture we'd arranged months ago. Nothing was wrong, nothing was different, but I stood on the threshold, unable to cross it. "Leah, what is wrong with you tonight?" Garrett's voice carried genuine confusion now mixed with irritation. "You've been acting strange since we left the restaurant." I couldn't explain it without showing him the receipt, and showing him the receipt meant admitting I'd taken seriously a random message from a stranger. I stepped inside, and the moment my foot crossed the threshold, the lights went out, and then everything changed. Full story is linked below or on my channel.